Hello, a very good afternoon to all of you. Today we are going to see a few topics in this session of communicative English. The topics are euphemism, homonyms and homophones, eponyms, foreign phrases in English, common errors and also wrong usages, and lastly we have collocation. So let us go and see them one by one. First we are going to see what is a euphemism, and the definition is given there. It is a mild or vague expression substituted for a harsher or unpleasant one. So here we are trying to sound rather pleasant. There are many unpleasant things that is happening in our lives, shocking things, or certain things that we cannot convey. So in such situation we use certain words, and they are called euphemisms. And then when we come to the examples, then things will be clearer. So the examples are given here. We use the word pass away for die. So we don't say he died, he passed away. Or other things that we do every day. So you say urinate because we feel rather embarrassed to use the other word. So we say number one, number two and all that. That is also a kind of euphemism in our own language. Instead of toilet we say washroom. These are all euphemisms. Then another word is put to sleep. It's a phrase. It means mercy killing or euthanasia. Well off instead of rich. If you say he is well off, it means he is very rich. And belch means actually after eating, when your stomach is full, you emit a kind of sound. That is called belch, which is considered as a bad manner. At home you can do, but in public we never do that, making sound after eating. Then another word is upchuck. There is another word for a euphemism for vomiting or puke. Another English word is P-U-K, puke, for vomiting, or throw up. All these are used for vomiting. Then big bond means overweight, very heavy person. Blowing smoke means lying. Split means divorce. Enhanced interrogation, what the police use sometimes, torturing, but they are not supposed to do. Another euphemism is ethnic cleansing. That is genocide, means killing a group of people belonging to a particular group. That's called ethnic cleansing. What Hitler did, that was actually genocide. Underprivileged, for the poor people. We don't say somebody is poor now, we say underprivileged. And mentally challenged, for mentally retarded. Differently abled, for disabled people, maybe handicapped. We don't use that word now. So these are all euphemisms. Now we come to another term. It is called homonym. Homo means same. Nym means name or word. So here words spelt alike but pronounced differently. So same spelling but different pronunciations are there. For example, L-E-A-D, we can pronounce it as lead and also lead. Meanings are different. Same we have got minute and also minute. Then we have T-E-A-R, we can pronounce it as tear and also tear. Then you have got read, R-E-A-D, read and also read. So present tense and past tense, same spelling but pronunciation is different. Then we have homophone. Phone means sound. Homo means same. Same sound, but spellings are different. Like peace, you have got two different spellings, P-I-E-C-E and also P-A-C-E, peace. Then you have got loose, L-O-A-C and also L-O-O-S-E. This is a word that is very often confused. Students make lot of mistake here. There are another difference between one O and double O here. Then you have got pray, P-R-A-Y, pray, and also P-R-E-Y. One is praying to God, the other one is P-R-E-Y, pray in the sense of ira. Then we have got sight, C-I-T, sight, and also S-I-T, sight, and also S-I-G-H-T. So you have got three words, but they are all pronounced same. Now we come to another word. I don't know whether it is familiar to you. Otherwise, you can learn this. The definition of eponym is they are words derived from personal names. So, in English, we have got some words which are actually some people's names which have become common words in English. First one is boycott. So, you know the meaning of boycotting. That means kind of non-cooperation. So, actually, there was a person called boycott. Then cardigan. Cardigan is a kind of dress, overcoat like, used in foreign countries and all that. That is also a person's name. Then Casanova, I think you are familiar with that word. Then you have got chauvinist. These are all people's names originally. Then you have got diesel. Diesel was also a person. Then you have got fallopian tube. I think it's a person who found the tube, fallopian. And sandwich is also a person's name. Sideburns, person's name. Eiffel Tower. Then salute, Celsius, paparazzi, nicotine. So all these are eponyms which originated from people's names. Next, we are going to see some phrases in English which originated from other languages. Today, I think I am concentrating mostly on French and Latin words. So, first one is en masse. It means in a large group. That is a French word. Then we have got bona fide, Latin word. It means genuine, not fake. Then we have got another French word. It is pronounced as faux pas, means a social blunder. Then we have got modus operandi. It's a Latin word which means method of operating. Next word is status quo. It's a Latin word, means the existing condition. Then again we have got a French word en route, which means on the way. A la mode, again French, in fashion. Then you have got another word French, bon voyage, means have a nice trip. Then quid pro quo is a Latin word which means something for something, or an equal exchange. That means kind of give and take. You give something and then you get something in return. In English, we also say, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. Now, we are going to see some common errors that we make in English. First one is double past tense. We have a habit of making double past tense. For example, he didn't went. So, here we have double past tense. So, the rule here is that after did, we should always use present form of the verb. We are going to see some examples here. I think things will be clear to you. So, after did, you should always use the present form, go, like I didn't go. Or when you ask a question, did you go? You cannot say did you went. That's a mistake. Did teach means taught. So when you are asking question, did you teach? If it is negative, you can say I didn't teach. Did plus see is saw. So negative is I didn't see. Or when you are asking question, did you see? So did plus eat, ate. Didn't eat. Did plus sleep is slept. Did plus sing, sang. Did plus write, wrote. So this is the rule. After did, always use the present form. So this will be very useful when you are framing a question or when you are making a negative sentence. So once you know this, it will be easy for you to make sentences. Then you have got double negative, just like double past tense. We also have got double negative. For example, I don't want to see no one. Usually in America and all that they use double negatives. Actually, that is grammatically incorrect. He didn't see nothing. Actually, I say I don't want to see anyone, or he didn't see anything. So don't use a negative with, until, till, unless, lest, because all this mean actually negative. You don't have to use another negative. Now we are going to see another important factor in English writing. It is called collocation. So what is the meaning of collocation? Collocation means placing or using appropriate words together. That means certain words go together. And that is very, very important in English language. So please try to understand the usage of collocation. Collocation means coming together, words that come together. For example, deliver. So we can use this word with a speech, deliver a speech or deliver a lecture, other than delivering the baby. That is already understood that. Now admit a mistake, refuse an offer, deny a fact. Then to make the bed, make. So examples are given here. I need to make the bed every day. To do homework. My son does his homework after dinner. To take a risk. Some people don't take enough risk in life. Then to give someone advice, give advice. The teacher gave us some advice on taking tests. So again, take a test. I am going to take a test. To feel free. Please feel free to take a seat and enjoy the show. To come prepared. Make sure to come prepared for the test tomorrow. To save time. You will save time if you turn off your smartphone and concentrate on the lesson. To find a replacement. We need to find a replacement for Jim as soon as possible. To make progress. We are making progress on the project at work. Then there are similar collocations like keep a promise, keep a secret, keep an appointment, keep calm, keep control, keep in touch, keep quiet, keep someone's place, keep the change. So these are all collocations. We have got more examples here. Take a break, take a chance, take a look, take a rest, take a seat, take a taxi, take an exam. Then starting with break. Break a habit, break a leg, break a promise, break a record, break a window, break someone's heart, break the ice, break the law. Next, words that go with catch. Catch a ball, catch a bus, catch a chill, catch a cold, catch a thief, catch fire, catch sight of something, or catch someone's attention. Now again we are coming back to some wrong usages. This word fastly is usually used or rather misused. We only need to say fast. He ran fast. We don't have to use ly here. Even as an adverb, it is not necessary to add ly. That is a kind of error. Another common mistake that we make is hardly. Hardly in the sense of hard. Hardly is a negative meaning. For example, if I say I work very hardly, you don't work at all. I hardly know him. That means I don't know him. So, if you want to say, it has to be I work very hard, not hardly. So, this mistake can be avoided once you know how to use it. So, hardly is used in a negative sense, in the sense of not much. Like I hardly know him. That means I don't know him much. He said me. Again, better to use that word as told me rather than using say or said here. That is more good to hear rather than telling he said to me. I think you can go with he told me. That sounds much better. Then another common mistake that I find here was like some people say we want to obey the rules and all that. Actually, what they mean is a kind of obligation. Obeying the rule is obligation. We are supposed to do that. So here you have to use the word have to instead of want to. We want to means as if it is from your part that you want to do certain things. But obeying the rule is not that you want, you have to do it. Then another common mistake is the usage of today. We say today morning, today afternoon, today evening and all that. But here the correct usage is this morning, this afternoon and this evening, and night is always tonight. So I think I have given you the correct usage here. Instead of saying yesterday night, you have to say last night. Again, redundancy, I have told you that once before, I think, like return back. We don't say return back, it is return is enough. Resume again, resume is enough. Repeat again, just repeat is enough. So these are repetitions actually, unnecessary repetition. Again, another important usage here is with concerned. Actually, we use the word or we misplace the word here. When you say that please go and meet the person concerned, if you say please go and meet the concerned person, then the meaning will change. If you use the word concerned before the subject, it becomes worried. Today you say he is a concerned person means he is a worried person. But you have to say the person concerned. That is the correct usage. Then again another kind of redundancy coming here when you say can be able to and all. It's not necessary. Able to is enough to convey the meaning. Or you say I can do that or I am able to do. Don't mix these two together. Another construction is here. For example, tell me where are you going. Actually, here it is a statement. It is not a question. Only if you are asking a question, where are you going, then it is correct. But if you use that word tell me, then there is no direct, it's a indirect question. So you have to say tell me where you are going. Then another usage, wrong usage is no sooner. No sooner I reached the station than the train arrived. So here you have to say no sooner did I reach the station or no sooner had I reached the station. Either of that you can use. Again, hardly we had reached the home. Which home? When it began to rain. Here, whenever you say hardly, we should say had first. You have to inverse the verb here, verb and subject. Hardly had we, not hardly we had. Then another usage is whenever you say I have a headache or a cold, always you have to use the article a. You can't simply say I have a headache. It is always I have a headache, I have a cold, I have a fever. Then again, he was in a hurry. That a should be there. He was in a hurry, he was in a bad mood. Sometimes we tend to omit that a. It has to be there. I think for today that's enough. I think I have given you enough matter for you to digest. So I think if you really follow these rules, you can avoid a lot of common errors. So with that, we have come to the end of today's class. Thank you and have a nice day.